Hello, fellow Mythrunians. Welcome to another weekly live stream. This one a little day early because I'll be out at a play again tomorrow night. And then we should go back to the regular schedule. Um, I wanted to get one in tonight since I missed last week and because I've got a lot I want to do. Again, the link to get the latest version of the engine, which is now just a couple weeks old, is down there at the bottom. I'm going to thank the patrons real quick. Yeah, I'm been shedding patrons lately, so those of you who've stuck around and are still supporting the project, I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out and believing in me and so on. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Again, you can, up in the upper left there is the link. You can download that, just go there, put the password in. Hopefully we can get to the point where I'm ready to start actually posting the link online where people could just click on it. For now, you got to be a little tricky and type it in. All right, so what we're going to try to do tonight is work on the substance table and associating substances with block types so that I know when, for example, when the build one sucks up cobble blocks, that it's part stone, part mortar, and all that other stuff. Because why? Because in Mythruna, for just regular building materials, you won't have to carry them around in your inventory in big stacks of 64. While we're in the realm of fantasy, let's just go ahead and, instead of saying that you can carry around 9,000 tons of rock in your inventory, let's just go the extra step of fantasy and say we've got magic, we wave our hands. You've got a wand that can hold so much resource. So this is for bulk resource management. The build wand will hold some amount of raw materials. Potentially that's limited and you would get upgrades to, to get more, but I suspect it'll be a lot. But that's a game balance issue that we'll work on later. And in fact, for now, I won't even I'll keep track of the counts, but I won't restrict you to them. But the mechanics will be there. Everything else will have weight and take up space in your inventory. So if you are mining for real with your pickaxe and chipping away stone, and you pick that stone up off the ground instead of sucking it up into your wand, that's stone you'll be carrying around in your inventory. And there could be reasons to do that, because for crafting, for real crafting, where you have to go through the process of forging your blade or grounding things down and doing things, there may be reasons to have actual raw materials in your inventory. Whereas the build ones for mass building, big giant towers and houses and things that you want to do, that gives you an advantage over the NPCs who have to do it the hard way and cut down trees and drag them around and so on. So always a tricky question. This is what I spent the last weekend and stuff working on, is what parts of this go into the open source section and what parts go into Mythruna, because this heavily interfaces with the existing block type libraries and things like that. And I try to leave those general so that they'll apply to any kind of game. And so I hesitate to bring too much into there. Like, for example, when I did the colliders, when you design a particular block type, you can say what kind of collider it has, whether wedge or cube or whatever. Bring up the editor, I'll show you what I mean. So yeah, you can have different colliders. Like this is a cube collider because it's a cube, but you could select from any one of these different built-in colliders. Ooh, I don't want to. But the block type library that this is based on doesn't know what a cube collider is, because that's going to be physics engine specific. So it just annotates the block that says, hey, this is a cube, or hey, this is a cylinder or whatever. And then lets the specific game deal with it. So I'm going to go with a similar approach with substances. I've started to add the UI because I need just a basic UI to be able to adjust the amounts of things or to see them. I have my to-do list here, which was to Yeah, so we need to add like sort of the substance ingredients for different block types. So like a sand wedge has, or a dirt wedge or whatever has a certain amount of dirt and clay and sand in it, that kind of thing. So I did already add these, and I did this. And now I am doing this, adding super basic substance editing capability to Shaper. So that's what this tool is. And so for a given block type, I want to be able to like list its substances down here and how much of each there are. So for sand, it's just sand and 100% or whatever. That's what's going to be based on sort of 1. Actually, I think I decided to build. Did I decide to build the mass into it or build the volume into it? I think I decided to build the volume into it. Yeah, because the mass is actually based on the substance type itself. Okay. So in Mythruna, like if I say this is sand and it's 100%, so 1.0. In Mythruna, there'll be a substance type table that says, hey, sand weighs X amount of blah blah blah. It's this kind of hardness, it's this kind of restitution. So like when you jump on it, you're less likely to bounce on sand. If you whack it with a sword, your sword is just going to go get embedded in it. It's not hard. It's also not rigid either. So I can whatever substance type properties I decide I need that are game specific. I can define that. But here it'll just say sand, and it's like 100% sand. Whereas like do we have, this isn't really sand because this is the generic block tool. It doesn't have any real materials. Whereas if it was a wedge, I'd say it's like 50%. That sort of thing. So what I'm trying to do right now is build out this. What I didn't do was pull out my little thing. So it says I have viewers. That's good. Glad you guys could join me on a strange night. I'm going to put this down here, even though it seems to be not 100% useful all the time. But okay, so I'm basically trying to build out this, which I imagine would be similar to what I did for the types, where it just shows me the index that I'm editing, and I'm allowed to edit the name, and I'm allowed to edit the amount instead of this. But similar to that, I'm not going to have like add remove buttons. We're going to write some scripts that will pre-populate the arrays. And so for now, I think just for tonight, I'm just going to get some types in there, some visibility and some ability to edit, but most of the stuff we'll do is going to be through those scripts that just automatically set a bunch of stuff based on their material. Because nobody wants to see me spend an hour, debating whether wattle and daub is 25% wood and whatever percent, whatever. You guys don't really want to watch me do that, because I really fall down rabbit holes. Trust me. I just did a whole the other night. I did a whole several hours of research on metals and elements and that kind of thing. What do they call them? Yeah, elements, right? No, not elements. Minerals. Minerals, that's what it is. And how many different types of minerals there are, and base minerals, blah, blah, blah. I was looking for inspiration. Anyway, so we're building out this substance array editor, and I think I'm just going to be dumb about it. Let's just say if this block type equals block type, don't do nothing. Oops, just return. Otherwise, we'll do this, and we will reset view. I don't know what to call it, but I don't want to spend too much time thinking about names. This is what's going to build out what's in this container. Reset view. And so what we'll do is we'll clear children. Whatever we had before, we don't have any more. We will, if block type get substances equals null. Return. Probably I will want to pull those out. So let's say this dot substances equals. It's like I'm designing as I go, which you guys should be used to by now. Block type not equal to null, then do that. Otherwise, no. Okay, so if substances is null, do nothing except for clear the children. And now substance substances. And so for each of these, we will add, let's do, oh, I've got two substances. So substance array equals null. Substance array. Actually, I could still do this and just say substances add all arrays as list substance array. And yeah, I think that arrays is in something else. Feel free to ask questions as I go. If you have any curiosity about what's happening. But here's where we're going to build out our little row of substance editors. Class substance editor extends. We don't want to extend container. We want to be part of a table, but we are going to have a text field. Is that what they're called? Yep. So we're going to have a label. It's the index label. Oops. And that means I'm going to have to do something different up above. Substance name. Let's just call it name. And I think we'll use a spinner amount. Substance editor. Okay, so we are editing a substance version holder. Substance equals new version holder. So that what that gives us is the automatic ability to track versions if we want to. And then index label equals, okay, so int index label new label libby on the label. Name equals new text field, and let's substance get name. Fact if substance. No, we're just this is going to be really fragile code because basically if substance doesn't have a name, we're going to bork. But I could fix that in substance itself to not allow you to have a null name, blah, 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 blah. Amount equals, I think I have an example. I actually believe I made some utilities somewhere. The, Um, screenshots you've seen where? Because YouTube will destroy my lighting. But the thing about Mythruna is at night it's supposed to be really dark. Although the other day I was able to run around because the full moon was out, and it actually does make it lighter when the full moon is out. What was I doing? Oh yeah. Just gonna come see. I've got like a bunch of So yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think it depends on the screenshot what the time of day was. Spent a lot of time tweaking daylight nighttime values. So spinner, yeah, so we've got, if we want to be good, we've got to model. Okay, so let me steal some of these for the moment. Okay, so we want sequence model double. I have thought about adding like a YouTube mode to the game that would potentially, like, I got some interference on the mic, like right now. That's unfortunate. I wonder if it's my cable dragging on my shirt or something. Let me know if it gets really bad or it's unfortunate. Yeah, so then I gotta look over here. Oh, it's gone now. Okay. Great. Default range value model, yeah, so creating a there are so many options for creating a sort of a sequence of doubles, right? In this case, we've got yes, we want a range sequence. We want some minimum value, and this is 0 and 1, and the default value, which is going to be 1, I think. And then a step in precision, 0.01, 0.01, that kind of thing. And so then we also need a renderer that says if you type in a value that's not in that precision. And so then, we can create, so this needs to be amount model. Yeah, that's fine. Actually, we haven't done this for any of the others, so let's not do it for that one either. Okay, so amount, and then we've got to say amount.set value editor value editors. I also think as far as something like this, to be fair, that does seem to be, I don't know what this is. I can't, it's not showing me any links. But those 2012, yeah, I mean, again, there's an artistic side that, you know, wants the contrast of night and day and so on and so forth. Mythruna will have a photo mode. Mythruna will have a photo mode eventually, and so you can if you're making your own screenshot, you'll be able to tweak a whole lot of things and change the environment and so on and so forth, so that you can make the picture look like you want without having to wait for a particular time of day or weather pattern or whatever. Which I think will be kind of cool. But obviously I'd rather have like monsters and stuff first. But yeah, and then that'll feed into the art mode, which is supposed to be sort of like a certain kind of crafting where you can get the kind of materials where you can paint your own pictures, but it would use sort of a screenshot filter to allow you to bring in sort of painterly layers and then let you sort of use your mouse to kind of rub over them to keep the parts you want and leave out the parts you want of, you know, different layers, whether it's the drawn line layer versus the color layer versus the shading layer. So then you could also like add your own stuff to the image if you're artistic. Big plans, yes. Impossible amount of plans. We'll see what I get to, right? Okay, so some of that's going to need imports, certainly. And I need to... Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Like, it's important to know that what I envision in my head is certainly impossible for one person to do. But I've done a lot already, and I plan to keep working on it for a while, and I feel like I'm on the threshold of rapid progress. Of course, I felt that way for a year. I keep coming up things, but you know, getting choppable blocks out of the way. There's a couple like big things I've got to get done, and then it's a matter of creating content and game and so on and so forth. So hopefully, anyway, I'm going to need to keep track of these editors I'm creating. Substance editor. Editors. So, editors equals substances dot length. Nope, it's only on the live stream that my nose itches, it turns out. Okay. Whoa, hello. Static is back. Well, yeah, it's definitely not the cable then. That's unfortunate. And I can't even hear anything in the house that could be causing it. I apologize, guys. Sometimes I listen back to these and I feel really bad because when the audio goes weird, I feel bad. I don't know what to do about it though. Index I, substances I, and now we want to add child. Dot index label, add child. Might be the connector. When you moved it, it stopped. Is it plugged in all the way? I mean, it's plugged into the back of my computer, and this is a really long thing, but it could be that perhaps there's a short in the cable, which would be bad because I don't really want to have to buy a new headset. Oh my god, the amount of technological entropy that is going on in this house right now. Yeah, this has been a rough week. My wife was in the hospital all last weekend, and then last night. So like so that's all its own thing. I don't want to go too far into that, but so it's been a rough week with that. It's been a rough week at work, and I went downstairs. Though, like, one of the few pleasures I have left in life, other than, you know, working on my game and stuff, is to de-stress. I go down. I have a home theater I put in a long time ago, 8-foot screen. You know, right after we bought the house, before we even had kids, you know, projector and all that other stuff. And I've sort of kept it up to date over the years, but that's my, like, decompressed time. I go down, I eat my dinner, and I watch a show on Netflix or something. And I went down last night, and the uh, the home theater surround sound system that all the video runs through, all the audio runs through, etc., decided to die, and so yeah, now I can't watch shows. Yeah, first world problems, right? But it's a real bummer to me because I was like my one decompression time was to go down there with some food and watch the show. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, it was like she's yeah, I don't want to go too much into personal details, but she was having some seizure issues and then went to the emergency room. They made us stay, and like it was kind of a interesting medical drama. Anyway, but that's why we're here working on game today. So without actually setting, I may have to make a script that goes through and adds substance types. So we might get to work on that first because I've got this editor. Well, let's see if I even have all of the classes I need now. Well, it helps if you spell things correctly. Versoned. Yeah, any of you who are on the Discord, I may provide a little bit more background about what happened last weekend, but I don't really want to throw that out onto the internet. Forever held in thing. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, what was I doing? Oh yes, substance array. Substances array. Yep, that's all good. Subtants. So it's funny, I can type a lot faster than most IDEs keep up with. On the other hand, there are some days where the level of typos that the IDE would catch. So I need to find, maybe it all works out in the end. Thing is, like like here right now, I don't remember, and I don't feel like looking it up on the thing. Count Chocula, nice. It does. Well, to be fair, Windows 98 looked a lot like Windows NT, unless you used the cartoon. Anyway, when XP came around, I always go back to classic mode. I like square windows, not bubbly round cartoon windows that XP had, and then Windows 2000. And anyway, this is actually Windows 7 because that's what I develop under for the game. Yeah, so value, lemur value. And it's a fun topic because so many people mention it, so it always gives some people something to comment on. But I prefer the classic look for whatever reason. Yeah, no, this is Windows 7 with the classic theme. Same one that Windows NT4 used. Essentially, it seems like maybe 2000 Windows 2000 did a slight upgrade on Windows NT4. Either way, that's just what I did. I cut my teeth on, so. Oh, dark mode. Dark mode would definitely do it. Yep. No, I'm used to damaging my eyes, so. Let's see. What are we missing now? Ooh, one more place I missed the substance array. In reality, it would probably have been better to call the list substance list, since I don't use it for anything, and call the array substances. Anyway. Because I will make that mistake 500 more times. Okay. So. We are not going to show anything here because... oops. Because... yeah. No, that's okay. That's why we do this online, so I can have conversations with people. I can code by myself anytime. But I like having conversations with you. You guys. It makes the stream more lively and gives, I don't know, social interaction, and anybody watching back on the stream has something to look at other than me coding in silence. I prepared ahead this time, and I brought a second Pepsi because I was already halfway through my Pepsi. That means that it's not going to be ice cold. True story. I like to keep my drink refrigerators below freezing. Although lately, wow, this Pepsi's trying to like crawl back up the straw. That's because it's room temperature now, or closer to room temperature now. But Pepsis won't freeze at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. They actually freeze a little lower. And so you can actually keep your refrigerator several degrees lower than that. I used to keep this one up here cold enough that when you pulled the Pepsi out and opened it, like the top would freeze a little bit. You'd get that little slushy frozen thing. But then I had like several non-Pepsi drinks explode in there, and so I was like, okay, well, I'll turn it right back to just slightly below freezing. Anyway, so what we want to do is make some scripts that will populate these substances, because I don't want to have add remove buttons. Slush is the best, yeah. Yeah, like I used to have like this little mini misos in a can. Nope. I used to feel like Pepsi and Coke especially made my teeth feel fuzzy. And then so I quit drinking it for a while because I was like, it's probably really doing bad things for my teeth. Then I started using a straw, and so most of it goes past my teeth, and then they don't have that fuzzy feeling when I'm done. Although I do still feel the need to brush my teeth more often when I... Anyway, so a tip is it's probably better for your teeth to drink with a straw. I don't know that for sure, but my dental hygienist said the same thing. So anyway, what we want to do... Yeah, I do. I use Sensodyne, Pronamel Sensodyne. That does help a lot. Of course, I also worry that if you're doing something that's going to be bad for your teeth, if using Sensodyne lets you do that more and causes problems for your teeth, I don't know that. I think my teeth were going to do what they were going to do. I've had 2 teeth replaced with fake ones now, and it had nothing to do with any of the quality of care for my teeth. It was just one of those things that happened. Like I had a molar down here that the crown cracked down the middle, and so like nothing I could do about that. It just decided to do it, so I had to have that one replaced. And then this one had like a defect up under the gum, and they couldn't repair it, so I had to have the tooth removed. So that's a fake tooth. Nice. Okay, back to work. What I want to do is find my scripts directory. I think we're in sample. Yeah, sample scripts. Setup substances.groovy. And, ooh, we don't want all that. We don't want all that noise. So I have like a cleanup types. Okay, so here's how you go through all of the types. And so let's do that. Type is null. If type substances equals null, then we say no substances, and we will make some. So once I have the script, I can just keep rerunning it in the tool. Being able to drink pickled cucumber water when I'm over. Also, yeah, it's priceless. Yeah, I ended up in a weird situation. I used to drink way too much Pepsi. And for the caffeine and the sugar. And for what it's worth, you know, coffee or tea has way more caffeine than a Pepsi does. It's the sugar that's really going to get you. Lights up your brain like a Christmas tree, which is why I drink it. And so I eventually decided I was not going to drink a Pepsi unless I was writing code. Which initially that turned out to be a tremendous productivity boost, because there was many times where I would sit at my computer and do a Sudoku puzzle or play Minesweeper or whatever, and you know, just drink Pepsi after Pepsi or solitaire, whatever time waster thing you want to enter there. And so once I switched over to no, I'm not allowed to drink a Pepsi unless I'm coding, I got a lot more coding done, because if I wanted a Pepsi, I'm like, I should probably stop playing this game and get some work done. But then it ended up flipping, and now not now, but the problem then became every time I worked, it's not a fruit juice, it's a cola. There's a cola nut, right? There's a cola nut, and that's where most of these colas come from, at least originally. So just like root beer or anything else, there's some plant that is the basis for that, and then they put a whole bunch of other crap in it. It's made of corn syrup and carbonated water and extracts from the cola nut. My understanding, that's be the natural. Yeah, but like the first two ingredients are carbonated water and high fructose corn syrup, so that shows you it's basically sugar water with a little flavor. But that's where the caffeine comes from, is that cola nut. What was I saying? Yeah, so corn, it's mostly corn. That's right. Oh, so yeah, so then the problem was, like, every time I sat down to code, I felt like I needed a Pepsi, and so then it ended up having the reverse effect, because obviously I have to write code for 8 hours a day for my job. And so then I started, you know, breaking it up with sugar-free gum, which may have its own side effects, I don't know, but yeah. No, there's if you look, there is actually my understanding, and of course I could have been lied to by television commercials when I was a child, but I thought there was like a cola nut. That's where it comes from. Like, it's must be some reason like all these colas popped up. Anyway, so we've got this thing. So anyway, yeah, now I drink a Pepsi and then I chew a piece of gum, and a piece of spearmint gum I can make last for an hour. So I went down from, you know, 6 or 7 Pepsis a day to yeah, and it, like, the gum actually wakes me up more than the soda sometimes. And so now, you know, I'll drink a Pepsi every hour and a half or so, which is a lot less often than I used to. I used to joke that I would chain drink them. I'd use the next can to the previous can to pop open the tab on the the next one. And I don't do that anymore. That's the thing, is like I drink if I drink a Pepsi, um, and then chew a piece of gum, and then usually it's about time to get up from the desk and walk around. And so that was even before my Fitbit would notify me that I need to get up and stand up and move. That was usually what I would do. Anyway, we are trying to get some work done. Yeah, the sugar-free stuff, it does. You're right. Which is not entirely a bad thing, but yeah, corn syrup is bad because of the quantity, right? It'd be like if you could inject apples directly into your bloodstream. It's not going to be good for you, right? Um, so it is the one thing. It is the one thing left in my diet that I really need to quit. Is um, the cold caffeine, as I call it, which is really corn syrup, right? And the thing is, I, I cannot divorce it from productivity at the moment, and so um, for the time being, I'm going to destroy my health for a little bit. Apple in the veins, yeah. I mean, like, another tea. Some people, my wife's like that with coffee. She has her little Keurig downstairs where she can make her big giant cup of coffee for the day. Um, but lately, like, I don't even start the day with a Pepsi. Since so my dog passed away at the end of June, the one that's in the game now, right, Kaylee. Um, and so then after we got past the graduation party and all that other stuff, um, I decided that I was going to walk every day, and I've got that up to I walk about a mile and a half every morning. And so used to be I would get up and that would be the first thing I would do is crack a soda, open the computer and like catch up on work, before the morning meetings started. But now I usually just have a little bit of water and wait for the morning meeting to be done because we do morning stand up because that's the way that works. But um, oh, thanks. Um, and so now I walk a mile and a half every morning, and I feel better than I have in a long time. So that's I call it my dog tribute walk. It's like I promised that I would walk every day, even though I don't have a dog to walk anymore. Um, hmm, interesting. What were we doing? Oh yeah, editing scripts and stuff. It is, and like it felt kind of bad because she passed away um, right as my younger child was graduating from high school, and um, so we had the graduation party that following weekend, and so we had to clean the house. We had already scheduled, carpet cleaners to come professionally clean the carpets, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was kind of sad because it felt like we were wiping out all trace of the dog after she passed away. So, because we'd always sort of imagined, oh yeah, when Kaylee finally leaves us, we're gonna end up finding dog hair everywhere for months and so on and so forth. But no, that was not the case. It's like it felt like we wiped out all traces of her in a week, and that's kind of mixed emotions about that, right? So, but I think about her when I walk in the morning because some of the parts I walk a lot longer now than I did when I was with her because towards the end there she wouldn't walk very far. Um, yeah, but I do walk some of the same routes as part of my walk that we used to walk, and so I think about her. Okay, scripts, happier notes. Set up substances. Execute script. Blink. Okay, no substances. So none of those have any substances. So we will give them substances now that we have a way to do it. Just do it. Okay. First of all, I want to know what the volume is. I think that block type will tell me the volume. What happens when you run the scripts? So, hold on a second. Block type has... I thought block type had a volume. Am I nuts? Or was it the factory? And did I really want to put... Never mind. I'm not going to go too far down this road, but... Okay, block factory is the one that has the volume. This could be where I should have put the... substances as well. I will probably regret having put it on block type, but that's a problem I can deal with later. So let's go back up to our setup substances script. So when I ran it, it basically went through all of the block types and told me no substances for all these different things. Like if I run it again, you'll see. Blink. Well, over here, setup substances. Yeah, so it, oh, execute script. Let's see. So, ran through them all. So today I'm going to add also the volume. Type. Is it just called factory or factory? Yep. Type factory volume. Okay, so now if I run through it, we'll see it shows the volumes for all those things. So 1.0, 1.0, 0.5. So the wedges have less volume. Oh, I am not aware of what the script is in your project. So in this particular case, I try to build in some scripting support into every editor that I ever make for any reason, because it's really nice to be able to just like hack in some temporary stuff. And so in this case, these are Groovy scripts. So I can make a script in Groovy and then execute it here, and it has access to the state of the editor. Groovy is also the scripting language that Mythruna uses for its game logic and stuff, which is kind of cool. And with that, we've done that in previous live streams. So I think for the moment we will get... Oh, you know Groovy? Cool. Then you're already one step closer to writing Mythruna mods. Alright, so we want to say string material equals type.name, oh, no, type.name.base, I think is what I'm going to use. No, let me think about this for a second, because I want to use this. So I want to be able to go through the blocks themselves. So I try to like straddle the line between doing things that are going to be useful for me after the live stream and doing things that move the live stream along. And I think that this is one of those cases where I want to do the right thing. So let's just default block factory has dir parts. So let me modify the script. So Mythruna is driven with Groovy so that the player can tweak with the game mechanics by modifying game files. No. Like the so the engine and how the blocks are drawn, all that stuff is Java, but the game logic, right down to interacting with your tools, talking to NPCs, all that stuff is in Groovy, and that's always going to be the case. And it's already set up with sort of mods in a way where you can drop your own sort of mod in. Let me see an example. Client mods, right? So you can have client-specific mods. You can have server-specific mods. Because even in a single-player game, it's running client-server, and so you can make a mod pack which has like this test. Like test mod is a mod I use for testing stuff. And so if you look at that, you can have like a descriptor that says who made the mod, what its dependencies are, like what other modules it depends on, and then what scripts it should run that are custom to this particular module. And so you can add hooks in for player events, define your own item types and stuff like that. It's my own. There's no JMonkey Engine doesn't have its own Groovy support, but so I've just kind of tacked on my own and then built an API on top of that. So like part of the MOS open source libraries is this object scripting framework that sort of abstracts object types into something that you can define at runtime. And so when you say like where's the base object? So like for example, let's pull the build one because we're going to need that in a minute. So I can define a new object type called build wand. I can say what its super types are. I can set different type variables about it, like where its handle location is, the shape, what it looks like when it's in your inventory and in your hand. And then I can add actions. These are the things you can do. These are actually called by the client to do the thing that the wand does. Depends on what you mean by game mechanics. Yeah, as much as I can, I do in Groovy scripting. So, it just makes it easier. And because I can make mods that are live reload, like any of these ones that are like directly in the directories means if I edit this script, it's going to live reload it. The stuff that's built into the game, like the build1.groovy, is not like that. It's obviously packaged up as part of the game. So if I edit this while the game's running, it's not going to have any effect. But I can have like hooks in here that call into these other sort of mods. And so when we get to that point, if I get to that point tonight, you'll see I could make a like little script that has stubs in it that I call from here, so that while the game is running, I can edit the script and see what it does, and so on and so forth. Anyway, we're getting off track. Well, we're kind of actually not, because that is what's on my list tonight. But back to what I was doing, which was filling these things in. I'm trying to figure out where's my script? Ooh, there it is. So I'm going to do this differently. If type equals null, if type.substances is not equal to null, return. We've already got some. You go to no point when I'm in the chat. I don't mind talking about this stuff, really. That's the whole point of this. I personally think the live streams are more boring if it's just me coding and everyone just sitting watching. I like the conversations. If type factory, not type factory, instance of default block factory, return. Why do you love Is there any other words? It's just Groovy. Why do I love Groovy? Because Groovy is Java. It's like Java++, right? Most of the things you can do in Java work there. It compiles to Java code. It can run. It can be executed by Java code. Like the classes you make in Groovy are Java classes, and I like the syntax. It fits me for whatever reason. It's like, yeah, it's like the script version of Java. I used to use a scripting engine called Bean Shell, which literally was runtime Java. But Groovy adds a bunch of nice things, which when you're in a scripting language are nice, but things I don't want to see in Java, where I like to have my foundation be really solid and type safe and so on. Oh, what was I doing? Okay, so now we shouldn't have to put that in an if anymore. And so now if I run the script, woo, we get an error. Yep, that's what I thought. Okay, so we need to import another... Technically, I think maybe this isn't true anymore, but when I first wrote, and why adding support for Groovy is not hard at all. Using the JSR 223 stuff, it really is just a couple of lines of code. I actually have written some published stuff. I'm really interested in why you choose to do stuff in Groovy, because for game logic it's a lot briefer. Like I can do some fancy things. For one thing, I can create my own sort of domain-specific language. This is where's my base objects? My build one.groovy. Because this is not, I mean, this is almost like its own little language where I'm defining a type. And when you do things like, okay, I can't see any examples in this case. Well, sure, context like this. We're setting a component on the entity, so that's all hooked into the entity system. I can treat the entity system just like any other Java objects. Let me pull up the test objects because they do a lot more wild things. But like all of these, yeah, so creating a new instance, these are all like Groovyisms that I've coded in. It's kind of like its own API layer. Yes, correct. Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Most of Mythruna code is in Java. The game logic is in Groovy. And we can kind of see that separation when we get to when I get to the actual coding part. So should be able to run it now. Yeah, okay, good. What OS are you on? I'm on Windows 7. On this machine, I'm on Windows 7. I haven't paid the Microsoft tax to upgrade it to something new, and I still want to be able to have my stuff run on Windows 7, so it's okay. And yes, I recognize it was end of life a long time ago. Microsoft reminds me frequently. So if we are on the default block factory, now we can get the parts. I keep getting distracted. Yeah, so dir parts, factory dir parts each. I want to see what these are, just to see. Execute script, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I have no more scripts for the moment. Okay, so we've got a lot of parts. Yeah, I mean there are risks involved, but I also don't like just surf the web or anything on this box. I just do development. The closest I come to surfing the web in general is when I do research, which is usually just Google images or Wikipedia and things. So yeah, so security updates, right? Exactly. Um, so it's funny. The touch wood. The only time I've ever caught a virus and spread it around my home network was because I brought it home from work, and a woman had an infected laptop she plugged into the work network, and it infected everything on that switch. And so then I brought my system home, and it infected all of my Windows systems. Of course, it didn't touch the Linux systems, which was fine. Um, and so then I had to clean those systems. But usually I'm very careful, but I do recognize it's a huge risk. Um, I mean, the issue is that a lot of the software I use, OBS I haven't been able to upgrade in a long time because they don't support Windows 7 anymore. Blender, if I want to upgrade Blender, I have to get special builds that support the older Windows. Um, yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. So at some point, Windows 10 is in my future, and only because I want Mythruna to run on Windows, and so I need to develop and test on Windows. Otherwise, I'd just use Linux across the board at this point. But because all of the other computers in my house that are non-work related are running Linux Mint, so like even my oldest child's computer, they have Steam with Proton and can run a lot of Steam games and stuff. So even that's a pretty nice picture these days. Yeah, so default part factory. Gosh, this is going to take me longer than I want to do. So for now, and actually this is not so bad, I'm going to skip this part because I'd like to make some progress. We're halfway through the live stream and I'm still messing around with the editor. So what we're going to do is we're going to set the amount to the volume, and we're going to set the name. I actually just done this. Def name equals type dot name dot base, and then we're going to say type dot substances equals new substance array one. I actually don't know what the Groovy syntax is for initializing an array with values in one. Substance equals new substance. Whoops. New substance name. Hold on, I see that there's some chat down below. I'm just amount. Okay, so let's see what that does. Paul hands a stone to his child. This is how your fathers lived. Nice. So when my kids were young, like still in elementary school young, I bought parts. I had already shown my kids like the insides of computers. They had used computers since they were like 3. They were both speech delayed, but could get on a computer and surf around the internet and type and stuff, which was kind of interesting. But so when they were still in elementary school, I think, I bought all the parts for 3 identical computers, and we all built them together. So my youngest child built their own computer, my older child built her own computer, and I built a computer that was exactly like that. So we did that as like a family. I set up kind of a quote-unquote lab in the basement where we have a table with all the 3 computers set up. And so, yeah. So that's where they are. So they built those computers, and since then, my older child, she's upgraded her graphics card a couple times. She's reinstalled her operating system many times. But when I did that, I put Linux on them because my experience with having Windows on the PCs here was that they were cesspools. They would collect garbage. You know, I'm super careful when I surf around, and so touch wood, I stay away from collecting stuff. But it's really easy for kids to click on a thing and have that install a browser, a little browser thing, and so I was, just to avoid a lot of maintenance, I put Linux on their systems, which made them safe, and they got to learn a little bit more about computers and stuff. And certainly my older child has, she's learned a lot about troubleshooting driver issues and getting Proton working and different levels of Steam installed and going back versions, forward versions, and so on. So it's been an educational experience all around. Okay, so did this work? Let's see. Execute script. Let's see, if we run it again, it shouldn't run. Yep, okay, so everybody has substances now, which means if I switch types, boink. Ah, look at that. All right, we've got substances now. And so I could go in here and tweak them. Let's find one of the wedges. So small light cube. That's interesting because the small light cube should have had a lower volume. So apparently that block type is not defined correctly. And actually, yeah, it isn't because we have no control over volume here. That's interesting. Oh, because it's got the cube. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. Problem for another day. But the wedge. Ooh. Wedges should also be 50%. So something's wrong there. Well, let's check some of the newer roof steep wedge. Show me in the game what you're after, like where I'm going to end up, why we're working on this right now. Is that what you mean? Because yes, I could definitely do that. Let me go ahead and so the thing is, I was sure I had some volumes that were not. Yeah, so maybe you missed it in the beginning, but I was talking about this. So in the game, you have a build wand. So in other Block World games that start with M and rhyme with craft, you carry around a warehouse full of tons of stone in your inventory. And Mythruna wants to have a more realistic inventory because it's more hard RPG. So you'll get, like, your backpack can only hold so much stuff, and it's based on the size of that stuff and the weight of that stuff. So it's not realistic to carry 64 cubic meters of stone in piles and things. But from a game perspective, it is super nice to be able to just place, hundreds and hundreds of blocks down to build things. And so the way Mythruna will tackle that is that your build wand will hold materials. So what I want to get to is the point where we'll see, right? Let us find the, let me turn the time back so that come on, there we go. Let's turn the time back so we can see on YouTube. It's technically not YouTube's fault that video compression destroys dark colors, but it's the nature of the compression. So right now we can carry our build wand, um, and it's kind of like that other game's creative mode where um, I can place an infinite number of whatever, and I can destroy however many things I want. They just go in, they disappear. And currently, this is like the temporary block palette where I can select different things, and so I can select cobble, and I can build things, and I can select different shapes and so on. So we can make a wedge and just like that, and so we can place a wedge here, and so now I've got this cool little shape I made, and I can build things that way, and that's fun, and I don't want to take that away, but I do want to have sort of resource restrictions on some level. And so what's going to happen is that when you're not in like a full creative mode and you're actually in RPG playing the game mode, your build wand will keep track of the materials you've sucked up. So if I go and I suck up a bunch of dirt, that will give me some amount of different materials, sand, clay, whatever I decide dirt is made of. If I suck up stone, I get pure stone kind of thing. And then when I want to go place cobble, which is a composite material, I'll have to have some amount of those per cobble block that I want to place in order to place them. So what I'm working up to is the point where when I use my build wand to go destroy this block, I get some amount of dirt and cellulose material because I sucked up that block. And so now my wand is loaded with those particular materials. And so I could go underground and dig up a whole bunch of stone, and I would have my wand loaded up with stone, and then I could go place those stone blocks elsewhere. And they don't appear in my inventory, and they don't gum up my inventory. So that's the idea behind that. If instead I take my pickaxe, because I want to, so the thing is about the build wand is if I were to suck up this stone with a build wand, I suck up the stone. If that rock had any gems in it, they're gone. Like, they went away. I destroyed them with my build wand. So if I want to mine this for actual gemstones and precious materials of that sort, then I have to go up here with my pickaxe and chop away pieces of it. And those pieces that I pick up, if I choose to pick them up and not just leave them on the ground, those will appear as stone rocks in my inventory, which obviously I'm not going to be able to carry too many of those around, but there may be crafting reasons I want these little chunks of stone that my build wand won't be able to provide me. Of course, I could always place those stone down and chop it up again. But that's the idea. I'm trying to balance the desire to have be able to build large structures just like in those other Block World games, but also have like realistic sort of crafting resources and those kind of requirements. Like there's got to be a reason to chop down a tree versus just sucking it up in your build wand. And so that's sort of the general gist of this. And so in order to do that, I need to know what the substances these blocks are made of. Like sand is easy, that's just sand. Stone is easy, that's just stone. Cobble is more difficult, that's stone and some kind of mortar, which I'm currently modeling as clay and sand. I added a clay block type. And dirt is going to be some amount of sand and clay, maybe some cellulose. And stone is just stone. Stacked rock is just stone, that kind of thing. Wood is just wood. Wattle and daub is going to be some combination of wood and cellulose and clay, probably, for now. So that's the idea. It's trying to kind of come up with a balance between building really cool big structures that look really nice and being able to like mine super quick and build giant underground things, while also having mining that's actually mining, where there's a reason that you're chopping at this stone for some period of time with your pickaxe, because you have reason to believe maybe there are some emeralds in here and you want to chop away at your you want to chop away in a slower, more deliberate way so that you don't wreck whatever's in there. So that kind of thing. So that's what we're doing. And so right now I'm basically associating substance types with all the different block types. And so it's easier to start with a script that does that rather than hand editing every block type to say, oh, you're stone and you're sand and so on. So that's what we're doing. I hope that answered the question. And so I have the ability to edit it. I don't have the ability to edit it in a way that saved it. So these are kind of hacked in at the moment, but we could go on to the next steps with what I've got. I do have some concern about why all of them seem to be full volume. So, and right now I'm using the open source shaper tool. And so that's why it's just got these boring, colored blocks, because the open source version of this tool doesn't have all the Mythruna materials in it. Those are Mythruna specific and part of the IP of Mythruna, not freely available for everyone, whereas these are, open source. Yeah, well, so that's the rabbit hole I fell into earlier this week when I started doing research into minerals, and like everything is silica. So like granite is silica, and all of these things boil down to quartz basically, which is funny because SimSilica's logo, my company's logo, is a silicon dioxide, a molecule, and that is silica. That's quartz basically. Anyway, silicon dioxide is sand, right? Because the whole idea was simulated sand, SimSilica. Yeah. But I went down a rabbit hole of trying to decide what my base materials were going to be. Did I really want to break stone down into its constituent parts? And I decided no, that if there's a red kind of stone and you want that, you've got to suck up the red kind of stone into your wand. If there's regular stone, you suck the regular stone up, and so on. So only the mixes, the things that different rules, exactly. So I decided the base materials are going to mostly be sort of what the base materials are in the game. And I want to break dirt down because I don't I feel like real dirt, like certainly if I dig in my backyard, a large portion of my dirt's going to be red clay because I live in Northern Virginia. And so soil is made up of a lot of things. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, clay and dirt is technically different. Like, dirt has clay in it. But clay, you can get clay from dirt, but clay is definitely different than dirt. Anyway, and there are multiple types of clay. I'm currently modeling just the gray clay, which I should have shown you guys when we were still in the game. Anyway, let me run my script again real quick because I'm concerned that it seemed like, okay, so shallow corner, okay, so slate post, let's check. I just want to make sure that if I have defined those correctly, slate post 0. Yeah, so see, this is the problem. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, again, in a game, you have to decide sort of where you draw the line. I'm not simulating molecules and atoms. So I think it's because I never set that value. So I should be able to just save the blocks, in which case it'll save all those in, and let's take a look at the blocks.json. Did it end up with all solid. Collider type. Substances. Yep. Cool. So let's make sure it will reload okay. But I mean, it is interesting how often sort of game design crosses into almost philosophical realms. Okay, so cool. We got, yep, it kept all of our substances. Excellent. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, any of you new to the chat, this is how I design things, right? I open up a text file and have conversations with myself. So I started thinking of substances, and I went down through all of this stuff, found quote things online about the 6, base minerals, and went down some rabbit hole of trying to decide if I wanted to model sulfur and pyrite and all these different things separately or what. And then I remembered where I want to go is to make it easier for the player to build structures, and I like the idea of incorporating mixtures in there just from the standpoint of it feels more realistic to be able to place cobblestone that is a mixture of other materials rather than a block type substance on its own, and that maybe there is some future thing to that. So so I have these big discussions with myself. The neat thing is, if I have to come back to this 2 years later, I can just reread this text file and I'll be all caught up with what I already discovered. Anyway, because as someone who has been working on this project since 2011, it is very useful to be able to go reread my notes files from 8 years ago to remember what I was thinking. And so somewhere I have a file on character stats and what their attributes mean, and strength and intelligence, and how all that factors together, and how that relates to the magic system, and so on and so forth. And I can go reread all that stuff. I may decide that I was bonkers back then and completely change my mind, but I'll at least be able to catch up to everything I did before. And so I like these text files, and I have lots of them, like tons and tons and tons of these things. What is sand? Well, it is something that gets caught in places that you don't want it and is difficult to get rid of. That is what sand is. Anybody who's ever lived in Florida knows exactly what I'm talking about. I think the last time I lived in Florida is I was 9 years old. I'm a full-grown middle-aged adult now, and I think I only just recently got rid of the last bit of sand. And probably there's some box somewhere that's got something in it that's got Florida sand in there. Anyway, so we should be able to go over to the Mythruna stuff. Got too many windows open. Too many windows. Too many windows. And we want to copy GitHub. Loss. Tools, shaper, sample, scripts, substance. Nope. Set up substances. 2. Source main shaper scripts. Yeah. Okay. Gradle run shaper. So this is running the feels like home. Yeah. Yeah. When I lived in Florida, it wasn't the best part of Florida, I guess, right? There are good parts of Florida, and then but I like Pensacola, Florida. I think it was like the armpit. There's a lot of good things about in Pensacola, but like I don't know. If I were to move back to Florida, that's not where I would necessarily choose to live. But yeah, finally got to see the JME logo. Yeah, because these tools just use the default splash. So this is the Mythruna specific blocks in the shaping tool, and so they currently don't have any. Oh, I have to install the So it's one thing when we run it over here, but I actually have to install the library so that the other stuff has access to it. By the way, anybody who is a patron has early access to the open source parts of this. So this shaper tool that I was just running over here is part of the Moss libraries, which if you are a GitHub user and a patron, all you have to do is ask and I give you access to the source repo. And you can take a look at what the open source parts look like. So, and there's some demos over there with like the desert world that you can go fly around and some other things. What is going on? You do it after work? Yeah, I have a full-blown day job. I have wife and kids with medical issues and so on. A very full life. I'm the only driver in the house. And yes, I work in Mythruna in my free time. So these live streams like force me to have like dedicated 2 hours or whatever where I'm forced to work on it, and then I get all inspired and want to keep going. So yeah, now we have substances. Okay, so now I can run the script. Execute the script. So it's going to add substances for all those things. They're not going to be accurate today, but that's okay. And so then I can check out dirt, and dirt has, there's 1.0 of dirt, which isn't accurate, but that's going to work for now. And there's 1.0 of sand, and this gets us to where we need to be. And so if I could save these blocks, compile the blocks. Ooh, bad news, buds. Substance is not serializable. La 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 la. There's another thing I forgot to do too, now that I think about it. It's good that it reminded me that I'm a loser. That I forgot to do some stuff. So, both substance name. Oh, okay, I got that because I copied and pasted from something else. Okay, so, blink, blink, blink. What am I to think about this as a JME user? I don't know. The thing is, like, that's even using JSR bindings, so technically you could run JavaScript. Although I guess Java included JavaScript in its JSR 223 bindings by default, and then some recent version of Java stopped doing that. So that execute script is just a utility for that particular tool to go and augment the data. That's not any kind of runtime thing. That was building out. So that's not right. Shaper blocks.json. So that was adding the substances to this particular data, right? So then it becomes incorporated into the data of the game. So it's part of the tooling and not part of the engine. So see, it added substances here. So, oh yeah, so the bad block has, so coming down with sand. So we see sand has a substance that's sand. So this is that's part of development phase, right? The other scripts are part of the game itself. But either way, adding Groovy or any JSR 223 supported scripts, which includes Groovy, JavaScript, I think, Python? I don't know. The JSR 223 has a lot of scripting engine support. Groovy is just what I use. JavaScript used to be built into Java, and I think they removed it. But it's really easy to instantiate and run those. So it takes almost no code at all. Yeah, let me bring up real quickly. Let me fix one thing, and then don't let me forget. I will show you. I have to add. I have to do this. Oh no, we need to, so I recently learned about arrays deep equals. for substances and other substances. Okay, so raise deep equals should do that. And then we also want to say objects deep hash substances. Let's see if that works. Okay, well, when you come back, I'll show you how scripts are incorporated. Let's see if that will compile. Oh, because that's the other thing is, we need to install that as well. I will tell you the lukewarm Pepsi goes a lot slower than the... Cannot find symbols. So, what is it called? Somewhere I have... there it is. Blah 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 blah. Hash. Maybe it's arrays that has the deep hash. I recently had to do this, so deep hash code. Yep. Oop. There we go. All right, let's try again. Wink, wink. But yeah. Waiting till I can't pronounce that name, but wait till they get back. Okay, so now I should be able to run Shaper. Continue with all the things. Blah, 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 blah. Alright, so we still have all of our substances that we added with the script. So now I should be able to say compile blocks. Yep. Ta-da. Okay. So that is there. And we don't have to compile materials. Okay, so we've updated the blocks all have some substance. So how to prove it's working, and just in case Ilgkalixklithvloch comes back, I don't know how to pronounce that. I butchered it, I'm sure. I don't know if it's a fantasy name or a real name either, so I hope I did not just offend someone. What was I going to do? Oh, show scripts. So should be able to come over here. Nope. Shaper must still script state. I must still do a specific one. So let's yeah, I mean that's the magic right there. But okay, we can discuss that when we get back, when they get back. Let me try to set up the client custom server commands kind of thing. I'm back. Okay, so real quick, to set up JSR scripting that's built into Java. All you have to do is for Groovy, for example, you have to have the Groovy library, the Groovy jars on your class path. You instantiate the script manager, which is part of Java. From that manager, you try to get the Groovy engine. It's a service provider API, so it looks it up and does all the magic. And then, so if you get that engine, you can create bindings, which is basically how you create the global variables that your scripts have access to. And then, basically, on that scripting engine that we just got right here, you can call execute and pass it strings of scripts, or you can pass it execute, pass it a file, and it'll compile and run that script, and then you've got scripting in your thing. So in this case, I load a bunch of Groovy scripts and I associate them with a button that says execute script, but and in Mythruna, it's considerably more complicated than that because I load up a bunch of scripts that build APIs and objects and things, but it's really straightforward. Hulk Hogan is giving a speech. Whoa. Hulk Hogan. Wow. Okay. Back to work. So let's see. Graal? No. I don't think so. Okay, so let's make a substance test Groovy, and yeah, where do I want to see, what did I end up doing? Yeah, with the random encounter. So basically, in substance test.groovy, substance test.groovy, I can't see what the next this thing covers up the words. It bugs me. Okay. So test what do I want to test first? Test collection. And we want to make that equal to something, and we're gonna yeah, I have waste of time. I got you. 2 separate sentences. Yeah, I have to have like a real reason to try a new language. I have so many things to do, so many things to get done. I can't be switching gears all the time. I switch gears enough. So we want the session, yes. Session and the type. Oh, different VM, JVM for Java. Yeah, it's kind of like, I think it is like a, makes executables or something. I can't remember. Info type. Test collection. Echo session echo, right? Is it? Oh, I think I can echo. Let's try it. Okay, and then over in my wand, test objects used to do this. Is it call? Gord gun test click call. Yes. So, so for build wand, when I stop removing, I want to where's my script name? I call it test collection. Okay. Yeah, define Java. We're getting philosophical again. Oh man. Hit lock or hit type? Block hit. Type. Okay, so we pass hit type, and so that should be good. Test collection. Oh wait, yeah, test collection, and we'll say test removal. Test removal, and select it. Okay. And so then we'll add that as well. It's really deduction, but that's okay. Alright, let's run the game, which takes a while, so that's why I always like to run these live scripts. The only problem with having consumed almost 2 Pepsis during the live stream is I'm going to have to pee soon, but alright. So if I've done everything correctly, we should be able to click things and get my script executed. And that may be about where I end it. I can show you guys the clay block. Okay, let's lighten things up. Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay, we got some. Okay. Yeah, let me show you clay blocks real quick. So E clay. So that's a new one I created real quick. So so that's clay. And oh yeah, so look, we're getting test removal. So basically that's interesting. Why 999? Oh, I deleted grass. That's why. So basically, we're placing that block. That's good. We're good. Okay, so anyway, it's got some specular see, so you can see like it's like wet looking, like clay. Let's put a cylinder down. So we can plop a cylinder down, and you can see it's a little, like reflective, right? I don't know. I think it's cool. Anyway, so that's clay. You're probably unlikely to encounter giant clay blocks in the world, but you know, there they are. And we've also confirmed that it's telling me my test removal. So at this point, we could look up the block type. Block type index get type. I think. Test collection would be when I remove it, so I should be able to say blank. Oh, why didn't it update? Oh, I only updated the. I didn't output anything. That's what it is. So session echo ETE. Okay, so then it reloaded my script. I should be able to run it again. Boink. Yeah, check it out. Woo! All right, so so from there we should be able to say if BT. So first of all, let's change this to name, so it's only showing the name. If BT substances is null, return, we don't want to do anything. Otherwise, BT substances each session echo substance it. Right? So wait for the script to reload. It reloaded. All right, so when we add one and then collect it, boink. Okay, it's telling us. We gotta like. There we go. Substance name clay amount 1. So yep, it's working like it's supposed to. Obviously the amounts are not correct because it's supposed to have the volume built in, and so that has to be a cylinder. Feels you get data from debug console at the moment. You mean in my game console? That's because I've specifically done that in my script, right? This is a test script, so like I have it set. So let's run through the logic here, right? So I have my build wand. If I stop removing, basically I'm removing a block. I added this line to call my little test script, test collection lambda or closure. And then if you fill in a block, I call test removal, which basically test collection means I removed a block, I'm going to add it to my wand. Stop filling means I've added a block to the world, I'm going to remove that from my wand. So I was just writing some test code here. And in my test method, or my test code, which is what it's over here, I'm printing out debug information to the console so that I don't have to go read it in this stream of constant things because the butterflies are flying around. So I output that debug information directly to the console right now. That's what this session echo is. It's echoing it to the game console. Because it's actually pretty robust game console here. I can actually run script commands and things from here. So you can add your own like script commands. So like I can even like see the current mods I have loaded. Whoops, let me spell it right. So I can see all the different mods I have loaded in the game, that sort of thing. Whoops. So so I can actually print different variables to the console. I can set the log level of different things. So I could actually set the log level down for whatever is spamming the logs right now. I can ping. So ping will show me stats about my. We are running client server. It's just all one system, so you can see what your ping times are and things. Let me see if I can face a dark thing, so we might be able to see a little better. All right, whatever. So you can see my ping time is really fast. So that's not 70%. That's 0.7%. So very low. So, and the average message size. So that's interesting, right? The average message size is only 133 bytes, and yet we are currently receiving updates about 64 or 51 active bodies. So butterflies are flitting around. 51 butterflies are flitting around within our area, and still we're managing to send that information in only 133 bytes. So that's interesting, right? So SimEthereal is the open source package that I use to do that. Object syncing. Oh, my Gayfin, he wandered all the way down here. So they both all did. Those actually belong to the NPC that's up in this temple up here. Oh, and he's even fallen out. Yeah, because this generated in a weird place. So those of you who don't know, this generation is like completely random. So he fell down and he can't get back up. Um, but there's Lalrul. He's the NPC in this town, and he gave me a quest, I think, already. Nice to see you. No, I'm still looking. So anyway, I still have to go do his quest. Yeah, the Gafen are like the combination chicken, penguin, ducks. Like, I liked the what is I guess German, one of the previous German developers on JMonkey Engine talked about. I guess Germans have this concept of like the cow, sheep, pig, like the animal that has all the things, right? And so Mythruna will have a cow, sheep, pig eventually, but also these are like the duck, chicken. They've got all the different aspects of whatever the duck, chicken, turkey, right? Whatever kind of farm fowl you would have, they're all combined in this one little thing. And if you run at them too fast, they go running away. And then I've got my, for those of you who don't know, I've got in this test wand, you can place also my dog. I added my dog to the game. And so sometimes the NPCs will generate a dog as their pet. And there's my Kaylee. So let's reset her home so she thinks she lives there and she can go wandering around. But that's my doggy. It has some issues with its mesh topology and weight painting, so sometimes her stomach does weird things as she walks, but she'll chase the Gafen around, so that's kind of cool. She has simple AI behavior where she'll come and run up to anybody she sees that's new. And then why is she running around in circles? So she's got a wander behavior that she does too, but if she sees somebody she hasn't seen in a while, she'll come running up and say hi, which means that the Gafen, who will run away from anything that's coming at them fast, like if I was to throw a ball at them, they go running away. So when the doggy will see them, they'll come running up, and then sometimes they go running away. Yep, see? And then so sometimes she'll chase them around because she wants to go meet them. And anyway, it's kind of fun. Yep, so just chasing the, yep, he's chasing the, anyway, so that's kind of cool. Simple AI behaviors that I like the simple AI behaviors that combine into cool ways. And I hope to get back to that level of coding. Well, since like some of you, I guess, are new to the game, let me show you one other thing. So there are like the ability to generate random dungeons that'll eventually like be part of town generation, world generation, and so on. But in the meantime, everybody gets this dungeon generator. And so if you find a place you like, you can click down and it will generate a dungeon. And whoa, it generated me outside the dungeon. That's interesting. I guess I was facing the wrong way. So I actually generated this one under the town. I'm glad that worked out well. And so for the time being, in order for me to like find my way around, it generates maps of each of the levels. So it generated a dungeon that's 5 levels deep. This is the tower down, and anywhere that's white, like these white rooms, are like ways down into the lower level. And so as you go down exploring, at each level it'll show you, so I'm like here right now, and so you can kind of see how the rooms are laid out. And real dungeons wouldn't be like this, but if you want to test things, it's really nice to be able to like see the layout of the dungeon and know, okay, I gotta go this way, this way, this way. So if I come over here, so if I come over here, and I ought to be able to go, so yep, there it is. You got little campfires around, and so over here is the next 2 pits down into the next level. And so if I pop down here, then I have a map of this level, and I have to kind of guess. I came down here, and so I've got to go all the way. I got to go back that way and then straight across all the way to get back out, and so on and so forth. yeah, so there's 2 exits all the way on the other side of the dungeon, so I'd have to go out this way, straight and straight and straight, and then right and straight and straight and straight, right? Yeah. So anyway, it's a way for me to quickly test the dungeons. So I tried to get like ambience. YouTube is probably destroying this. If you haven't played the game, I highly recommend downloading it and actually seeing it in person, because the video compression destroys this. So somewhere over here. So imagine monsters and stuff in here that you'd have to fight, swing your sword at, and so on and so forth. Yeah, here's the next one down. Okay. So you keep those map models visible for some well-managed mines in the game. Yeah, sure, right, exactly. Why not? Or you could buy a map, right, and you'd have it in your, like we have this map, but eventually there'll be multiple pages to your atlas. And so, so maybe you have a map of this particular dungeon that you bought from somebody, that kind of thing. Okay, so this one, yeah, so like the green, how it is right now is the green rooms are color-coded as treasure rooms. So if you see green lighting, you can go in and there's like, you can't do anything with them, but there's these little treasure boxes. And by the way, these are all made using the in-game editor. You can make your own blueprints for things. You can craft your own stuff. So if you like want to make your own chair, you can make your own chair, that kind of thing. Even clothing, you can make your own. Oh yeah, of course I've got to one thing at a time. I've got to get back to section or whatever. So you can make your own stuff, tables, chairs, whatever objects you want, and place them in the game. You can make your own clothing. So like if you edit, you've got this. You can paint clothing with different swatches and fabrics and stuff. So I've got a bunch of built-in stuff. Of course, there's some UI state issues, right? But so, oh yeah, see we're in green lighting, so that's why she looks all green. Let me exit out of here. So I ought to be able to warp. Let's see, what is my location? -144,887 16242 16242. Yeah, so now we're above the dungeon. I played a game. So the block blueprints have been there. Here's we fall very slow. But no, the clothing is new, right? So you have this, and you can make all kinds of stuff, and it'll get more advanced later. This is kind of just a work in progress. So she, I can add her right bracer, and so now she's got a bracer. And these are all things I created using the in-game clothing editor. So if you go down here, we can see what does right bracer look like. We can edit it, and that's what the right bracer is. And so you've got, similar to the way you place blocks in the game, you can place different fabrics and shapes, and give them hard edges, soft edges, and things like that. So we had a Halloween party last year where people could make their own costumes, and I dressed Mythruna girl up as Spider-Gwen, obviously without the head part. Oh yeah, sorry, I gotta go back here, and I really need to fix that. So yeah, you can. So it includes a bunch of clothing, but you can make your own. And eventually it'll be more advanced, so there'll be like separate layers, so you could have like robes and things as well. Even the backpack I made with the in-game editor, so eventually you'll be able to make your own backpacks. There's the workbench, which allows you to assemble things together. So if you have blueprints for like the top of a chest and the bottom of a chest, you can come in here and you can make this. And then so if you, where's the hinge? So I can go here and I can like have like hinges and things, and so you can have make objects that have like containers and stuff, assembling together. So some of this is a little raw at the moment because I need to be able to edit objects for use in the game. Everything that's in here, like everything in the inventory, I created in a block editor and loaded it in. So eventually we'll be able to make all kinds of custom stuff. Yep. Yep, exactly. Yeah, I haven't figured out how they're going to be shared across worlds, but I do like the idea of, especially on servers, that you could sell something to a shopkeeper, and then based on other people wanting to buy it, he could decide that that's valuable, and then you might end up many towns over on the map, and find out that through trade, your design became popular, and so it ended up 4 towns over because some trader bought some and took it over there. So I like those ideas of organically sort of making the world feel alive. Yep. So so there's obviously world generation. Every world's unique. Generates infinitely in all directions as far as it matters. And we're currently at this town 2802, because they don't name themselves very well yet, but eventually towns will have names. They have NPCs. The NPCs will give you simple quests. I've currently got a quest to go find his axe, which is sort of, somewhere out in the woods there's a building, and he's dropped his axe there, and I need to go retrieve it. And these are just sort of, I did this to work out the basic quest system, stuff like that. So again, always a ton of stuff to do, and currently I'm working on substances. Yeah, so we chopped this up, and that's why it fell back there. Okay, so anyway, any other questions while you got my attention and we're talking about the game? Hopefully you guys who are new to the will come back again, so subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, and then you'll be notified when I do these again, and click the little bell, etc., and of course like the video if you liked it. But I think this is where I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to give it a minute for any more questions. Well, thank you. So yes, definitely like the video. Deep hole. See you. All right, guys. Let me go ahead and start shutting things down. First of all, the standard thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps feed the algorithm. YouTube might recommend me to other people if you guys say that you like it. That's the only way to really get more people involved. And so, and then thank the patrons one more time. Thanks for the support, guys. And I will see you next week. We won't be doing a live stream tomorrow, but I'll do one next week. See you later.